Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here. We've got to talk about the severe weather threat tomorrow, and I'll start off by saying none of this is to scare people or to get you overly worried. I'm just giving you information to prepare for this event. The great thing about severe weather is if you're prepared, it's a whole lot less scary. I know there's still a lot of fear out there for severe weather, for good reason. A lot of folks have been impacted by severe weather, so I know this time of year makes people nervous, but I'm giving you all the information necessary to kind of plan and be prepared for the events tomorrow. And the good news is with severe weather, not everybody's going to be impacted by it, but if you are, you're going to be ready tomorrow. So let me show you this system. This is a pretty rare system to see such a dynamic system. Maybe just a few times a year do we see a system this strong. And the fact that we have a high risk or an extreme risk for parts of the Deep South, pretty rare. Maybe once a year, twice a year, we'll have something like this unfold. And you can see today, I mean, it's clear to see what's heading our way. This is the system. All kinds of tornado watches already. This is going to be moving to the east and affecting us tomorrow. Just look at this system on the water vapor loop. I think this is a really impressive thing about it and shows you how dynamic it is. Strong winds here, strong winds coming in like this, winds like this. All that wind shear or changing direction with heights is really what's driving it. Now, one of the things that I think there's a misnomer that people think severe weather is because of clashing cold and warm air. It's really not. It's not temperature differences. It's really the wind speeds with the winter jet stream. And that's why we see severe weather in the winter and late winter and early spring so much. The warm, humid air is a big part of severe weather because that's the fuel for storms. Now, cold air is often associated with these dips in the jet stream, but it's really the wind energy that drives this, and that's what's off the charts with this system. The fact that this trough is what we call negatively tilted, and what that means is, a trough that digs down deep, this is a dip in the jet stream, that's a neutral tilt. Now, if this thing should tilt positively, it would tilt this way. That's what we call a positive tilt. But this trough coming down is going to negatively tilt, which means it tilts back to the west. And why is that important? Well, that actually causes the winds to rotate even more in the trough. It creates more wind shear, and that creates problems for us as it pushes to the east. So let me quickly show you the severe weather outlook with this. So again, as I mentioned, a rare day. You can see it flashing. We've got now what's considered an extreme severe weather risk for parts of Mississippi into Alabama, probably a significant tornado outbreak there. And then this is going to push east overnight and then move into the Carolinas tomorrow. So let's look at day 2, and you can see the threat for the Carolinas. Now, we're in the high risk to medium risk, and then this area that's highlighted is the greatest risk. It's basically where there's a significant threat for severe weather. And we're talking winds that could be over 70 miles per hour and EF2 tornadoes or higher. So anytime we see the significant threat, that means not just weak tornadoes, but probably some strong tornadoes in there. Now notice the further east you go, this threat becomes much bigger, especially for South Carolina, southeastern North Carolina. That has a lot to do with timing because there will be more time for warm air to surge up ahead of this system as it pushes in. And I'll show you our map as well. This is kind of a close-up view of this system, and you can see the potential there for severe weather across pretty much our entire viewing area. But what's really significant in this is the tornado risk. Now, I show these probabilities just to show you this is basically the probability of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of any point on the map. And a lot of people see these numbers and go, that doesn't seem that bad, Brad. But remember, statistically, seeing a tornado, the chances are incredibly low, like less than 0.1% any day. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, the chance is 1% on your normal day. This is a 10 to 15% higher chance of seeing, 10 to 15 times higher than seeing it on a normal day. So these are pretty significant numbers. They're not rain chances. They're the chances of seeing a tornado. You're not going to get a few drops on your head and forget your umbrella. This is a violent tornado. So these numbers need to be taken seriously. They're not insignificant at all. And you can see to the west today, that threat is actually higher, 30% in the area where you're seeing the higher risk. Now, the tornado parameter tomorrow peaks in the middle of the day, somewhere around 0.5 to 1. Doesn't seem really high, but the ingredients are there. Very similar to the February 6th setup last year. And remember, today is a day, have a couple different ways to get warnings. I'm going to move my head out of the way. Make sure you get, the wireless emergency alerts are turned on your phone. Grab the WCNC Charlotte weather app. I'm going to do a separate video on that. Watch TV or live streams tomorrow. Stay tuned to social media like you're doing right now. NOAA Weather Radio. And believe it or not, hearing from family and friends is a very crucial part of this. We find more people get their warnings that way than just about any other warning. So what's our main concern? Damaging winds are still a bigger threat because they will affect more people, but also tornadoes are second, and then hail. Hail threat's a little bit higher than normal because of the supercellular nature of these storms. Now, timing-wise, I'll quickly show you this. I always like showing the graphic. As far as timing, I do think the timing is going to be right around maybe sunrise. We start to see the storms move into the mountains, and then as we go into the afternoon, right around 9, 10, 11 o'clock, things ramp up. So it's this middle of the day time frame, 9 a.m. to like 3 or 4 p.m. right now. But read my small print. Small changes could have big impacts. This is why you need to stay weather aware. These storms are just forming and moving. They could speed up or slow down, just like the GPS in your car. You know, if you're driving 10, 15 hours, it tells you you're going to arrive at a certain time. That's going to change based on how fast you're driving, traffic, getting off to get food, going to the bathroom. Those changes end up impacting how fast the system gets here. So think about it in that standpoint. So stay tuned. I give you a big wide time frame because it could speed up or slow down. That's why you need to literally pay attention hour by hour tomorrow where these storms are. Trust me, I'm going to do a better job tomorrow of giving the all clear once the mess is out of here, because I don't want you to be worried for longer than you have to. And if you have to go to shelter, I'm going to tell you when it's okay to get out so you're not stuck there for hours. The whole point is seek shelter for the time you need and then be done with it and move on. So let's get right to the timing. I'm going to show you Futurecast because everybody likes to see that. All right, so I'll show you the close-up Futurecast here. And again, we'll be updating this a lot. You see tonight, southerly winds developing. And that's the key thing to watch tonight is, man, if you feel like the temperature's jumping or it's getting hot and humid out, that means the fuel for these storms are moving in. And you can see that southerly wind develops early tomorrow morning as the warm front moves north. So 7 a.m., we'll probably see the first batch of storms moving into the mountains. Some of those could be strong to severe. They start moving east by 8 a.m. We see some rain initially, maybe some gusty winds, but the main line is right here from Jefferson down to Greenville. Look at the time, 9 a.m. As we go through the morning, 10, 11 a.m., again, the timing looks very similar to last February. Not that the setups are ever the same, they're not. But I want to just give you a time frame because it's at before lunch, middle of the day. Sometimes we think about late day being more of a threat. This will probably be more middle of the day type risk. And then look through noon, it's still over us. By 1, starts to push east. By 2, by 3, it starts to exit. And by 4, it looks gone. So you saw my timeline earlier. That's why that like 8, 9 a.m. to about 2, 3 in the morning is kind of the area we're watching potentially. And one of the things I show sometimes on air is this significant tornado parameter. I know a lot of folks like to see this. And I'm going to really quickly refresh this because I want to show you the parameter coming together. I'm going to go through time. And again, this is just a scale from 0 to 10 of the ingredients available for tornadoes. And again, we'll go through tomorrow morning. Notice as that line moves in, and I'm going to stop this basically middle of the day here. And you could see the ingredients come. I don't know why we lost some of our data here, but it's kind of weird. It's stuck on 28 hours. But you can see this is basically right before lunchtime. So basically, this is 2 hours. This is at noon, basically right at noon tomorrow. The tornado parameter right along the line, that cold front. Also notice a surge over here. So keep an eye on eastern North Carolina. But that kind of shows you how the surge moves in. The other thing I look at often are those like rotation tracks, and I'll show you those real quickly. Okay, one thing we can look at in the model guidance is what we call updraft helicity. It doesn't mean tornadoes per se, but it means rotating updrafts, thunderstorms that have the potential to rotate. And those are always usually severe, even without tornadoes. And you can see some of these these rotation tracks, you know, even overnight, some of these try to move in with the warm front. But look what happens tomorrow morning as the main line moves in. And for some reason, the data didn't all come in, but this is stopping right around noon tomorrow. You can see there's several tracks of rotating storms. The data's missing until the afternoon, and then you see it push east. So I'm going to have to look at a different data source. We seem to be missing some data here. But again, when I show these, this is not exactly where the storm's going to track. I look at the number and intensity of these in the area. So what I look at is how many do we have and how intense are they? And there's quite a few. So I do think we're going to have some rotating storms tomorrow with the potential to produce damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. Those are really going to be our big threats tomorrow as we get into the midday and really early afternoon time frame. And then in eastern North Carolina, you can see that threat shifts to the coast through the evening. So the whole state is really going to be impacted by this, especially from the Piedmont to the coast. And just one last thing I'll show you before we go, and I'll have updates throughout the day, and tonight I'll do another vlog, is one of the things I look at is the shear in the atmosphere. And you heard me talk about this, and shear in and of itself is fine as long as you can't tap into it. And what happens in these warm, humid setups where the warm air down here can build thunderstorms high enough into the atmosphere to tap into this, you get severe storms. So you see the shear to the north, that's not a big concern because the air is cool up there. We don't have thunderstorms. We just have good old-fashioned rain. But watch some of these shear parameters develop this evening across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Now, I know the air is going to be plenty warm enough here, so these are going to be storms that have a ton of wind energy with them, with possible rotation. I mean, some of these shear parameters are off the charts with these storms. And then here we are in the Carolinas. So watch how this moves our way overnight into tomorrow morning. I'm going to stop this at 6 a.m. The shear starts increasing, but here's our line of storm. So basically what looks like happening, the warm front is here, the cold front is here. This warm front's moving this way. At the same time, the cold front's coming in, and then all this warm, humid air is spilling into the region. So you can see these shear parameters right in the middle of the day tomorrow. I mean, this line coming through, this is around 11 a.m., is really off the charts for wind shear. So if we get any warming, and that's the key tomorrow to me, I know we have plenty of wind shear for bad weather. The question is how warm and humid does the atmosphere get ahead of that wind shear? And if we see a surge of warm, humid air coming up from the south, and if you feel it, man, you know what it feels like. Mugginess, kind of smells like tornado weather, severe weather. That's the kind of thing we'll watch for tomorrow. But the fact that we have so much wind shear is why there's so much buzz, if you will, about this event. This is an off-the-charts wind shear event. We just are a little uncertain on the amount of instability. And the problem is it may not take instability. I think of this as having just a ton of explosives all over the place, and all you need is a little spark to explode it. And that's kind of what this setup is in the atmosphere. So we know we have tons of wind shear, and the fear is any kind of warmth or spark is going to set those storms off. So remember, this is the timing tomorrow. Have a plan. Please, please, please download our WCNC Charlotte weather or news app. Turn those notifications on. Stay tuned for a video. I'm going to show you how to do that in case you don't. This thing is amazing. Of all the things I tell people, if you don't use our app for anything else, just use it for alerts. It's great. It sends them just to your phone based on location. You won't get overwarned. You'll just get alerts for where you are, which is great. And turn that volume up tonight just in case we get warnings while you're sleeping. This thing could be a lifesaver. Have a great day. Stay tuned for updates. Don't be worried. Don't get scared. Be prepared.